gotta say, I salted this really well. This is so good. The days are getting a bit shorter and you're looking for some comfort food. Well, can I tell you about today's recipe? We are making an amazing soup. A bit of cauliflower, a bit of blue cheese. Oh, so good. Let's go. Welcome to Pop Keto, where we aim to help you live a sustainable keto and low carb lifestyle. It's starting to get a bit cooler these days and yeah, it's getting a bit darker a bit earlier. Sun's coming up a bit later, so we're looking for some comfort food. Now we've done a few recipes on Pop Keto that we really think fit into that comfort food. We've got a really good lasagna, and we're going to put a bunch of links in the description today. We've got a really good lasagna that you're just going to love, and it's great for sharing with your family. Another one is cottage pie. That's another good hearty sort of wintry recipe, but today it is still hearty, it's still nice and warm, and it's great to hold in your hand, but it's also great for a lunch or something like that you can take to work with you pre-prepared. It is really good. Hey, if you're new to Pop Keto, welcome. And if you're a new subscriber, why not just pop something down in the comments? We would love to touch base with you, and that's probably the best way that we can connect with you. We love responding to your comments and we'd like to say hi. So please do that. We'd love to hear from you. So let's get into the cook. And today, it's not a lot of ingredients that are going into this, and it's going to be so tasty. So we've got cauliflower, everybody's friend on keto. We've got some brilliant blue cheese. I love blue cheese. Today we're using a Stilton, and it's going to be so good in this, but it's not overwhelming. So if you're not so sure about blue cheese, it's worth giving this a try, because it's not like a wham blue cheese in the face type flavor. It's just there, just adding to the dish. But we're going to start with the flavor base now. All right, we're going to start off with 2 tablespoons of butter. We're just going to pop that in there. This is a nice grass-fed butter. It's a little bit salty in this one, but that's absolutely going to be fine in this recipe. And we're going to go straight in there with 1 whole chopped onion. Now you can chop this, you can slice it, whatever's going to be easy for you. It doesn't have to be pretty. We're going to hit this with a stick mixer at some point just to smooth it all out. So just do what feels good. Stir it around, make sure the butter gets all over the onion. Next, we're going to throw in some garlic. I would put in 1 large clove of garlic. We only had smaller cloves, so I'm putting in 2. And all I've done is just crush them under my palm and just throw them in. Now let's talk about our pot, because I did need to talk about that real quick. 2 important things about a pot today. 1, it needs to have enough volume for what we're putting into there. But the other thing is we need a lid. What we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be steaming the cauliflower while we're cooking this. So a pot lid is going to be great for holding that steam in to keep that cooking going. And we're just going to cook this for a bit, just for the onions to be nice and soft. The garlic's going to keep getting softer as we cook as well, so that's all going to be yum. And it doesn't matter if the onions get a little bit of color on it, it's all good. All right, so I'm about happy with that now. The onions have become a little bit translucent. Some have got a little bit of brown on it, that's a-okay. Next ingredient we are putting in is some stock. Now I'm using chicken stock today. This is homemade chicken stock. Oh, well, let's talk stock for just a moment. Have you ever had a look at the ingredients of stock in the supermarket? Next time you're there, have a look. You're going to be surprised at the amount of stuff that's in there that's not stock. A lot of them have sugar, some of them have flours and all that sort of thing that we're avoiding while we're on keto. You can make your own stock, and it's not that hard. If you find the thought of making stock yourself a little bit scary, what we've actually done a video on how to make stock, and what we're going to do is we'll put a link at the end of the video so that you can go and find that. It'll also be down in the description. That's another one to put in the description. Let's keep going. So this is 1 cup of homemade chicken stock that we're putting in here. You could absolutely use vegetable stock for this dish. It would make it vegetarian, but not vegan, because we're going to have some cheese and some dairy in there a little bit later. But what we're going to do here, I've used frozen stock, so I'm just going to let that melt for a moment. Okay, so I've melted that. Now, if you've used stock from a jar or a sachet, just bring it up to a simmer and you're ready to go with the next step. And that is our cauliflower. We are just going to chuck this whole thing. This is a whole cauliflower that I've just turned into flowerets. We're just going to throw the whole thing in here. Include the stalk, yeah? Make sure you include the stalk. You're only going to blend it up anyway, and it's less food wastage. All right, so here's where we put the lid on, like so. And we're going to let this steam and simmer for a little while until our chunks of cauliflower are all soft and we can poke them with a skewer. So keep in mind that as you're cooking this, the cauliflower that's in the liquid is going to cook a little bit faster than the cauliflower that's out of the liquid that you're steaming. So as I'm doing this, I'm stirring it around, so the more cooked cauliflower I can take out to be steamed, and the less cooked goes down into the liquid. And then once the skewer goes in and you can pull it out without any resistance, it's ready to move on to the next step. Next, we start adding our dairy elements. Now I'm turning my little hot plate off here, but if you were cooking it on a stove, you would take it off the heat here as well. So next we're going to hit this with a stick mixer, but while we're doing that, we're going to add in our Stilton. When it comes to cheeses like this, you can actually eat the outside of Stilton cheese. So I'm throwing the outside of the cheese into the soup, and it's going to be just delicious. I actually really like this cheese. Lisa doesn't like it so much, do you, babe? She's on that camera. But yeah, I love it. So that is 220 grams of Stilton. You can use pretty much about whatever blue cheese you really like. The good thing about Stilton is it's got a nice blue cheese flavor, but it's not too strong, stinky and overwhelming like some are. And then we just go in with our stick mixer and blend it all up. Now, if you like the smell of Stilton, and I do, this is smelling so good. Okay, last couple of ingredients. This is half a cup of full cream, double cream, depending on where you're from. We're gonna pop that in there. Now that is looking lovely and smooth, and it's smelling delicious, but it's probably closer to a puree than a soup just now. So we're going to loosen it up with a bit of almond milk. So almond milk's got a little less carbs than full cream milk, so that's why we're using that today. And we're just gonna add that in. Now, I'm expecting to put in up to about 200 mils of this, but some of it will be on your judgment, how thick you like your soup. Oh, that looks awesome. Smooth and silky and soupy. Yeah, come on, come on. All right, we're gonna taste it here. So here's where you season to taste. I'm gonna add a bit of salt, but for you, depending on the stock you've used, that could be a salty stock. The butter you use might be more or less salty than the butter I use. So again, just season to your taste. Now there's one other ingredient that I like to add to this, but it may be better to just have it on the table and let people add it themselves if they like it. And I like to put a bit of black pepper into it. So I'll do that once it's served. But that is it. That is ready for eating. So let's serve a bit up and have a taste. Now, if you do like it a little bit thinner, you could always add a little bit more almond milk. And then I've heated it up a little bit because a bit of cream, bit of almond milk, that's going to cool it down. So I've just heated it up just a little bit more, and we're left with this. Now the taste test, here we go. Tell you what, it smells so good. That is so good. That is like a warm hug on a winter's day. That is so nice. And even if you're not a big fan of blue cheese, there's not a lot in there. 220 grams sounded like a lot, but when it comes to this final product, it's just a nice little hum that goes through it. It's creamy, it's a little bit rich, not too much. I gotta say, I salted this really well. This is so good. And yeah, I would add a little bit of pepper to it when you serve it, but that is entirely up to you. Oh, this is really good. I so like this. And because it's sort of a thicker soup, you can actually have this as a meal as well. It's not just an entree to a dish or something like that. This is a good hearty soup. And as I said earlier, taking it to work for lunch, whack it in the microwave, you're good. So please try this one. This is one of my favorites. Honestly, this is so good. We talked about stock earlier, and I'll make sure we've got the link around here. And also it will be down in this description if you want to have a look there, along with a couple of other things that we spoke about today. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and we will see you next time. Bye.